Good morning, students. Welcome to Module 1, Introduction to Discourse Analysis. With me, Satya Prasyanto Cahyono. What is discourse analysis? Discourse analysis refers to the study of language as it is used in real context, spoken, written, or multimodal construct meaning, social identities, and power relations. It examines how language not only reflects but also shapes cultural norms, ideology, and institutional practices. While a significant number have received training in general linguistics and may regard themselves as linguists, many others identify more closely with different academic areas, including but not limited to anthropology, rhetoric, cultural studies, psychology, and educational research. In discourse analysis is one of the interdisciplinary approach to studying language that focuses on how meaning is constructed, communicated, and interpreted within specific social and cultural contexts. Unlike traditional linguistic analysis that isolated grammar as sentence structure, discourse analysis examines language in use, analyzing how words, phrases, and narratives functions within broader communication practices. It explores the relationship between language, power, identity, ideology, and social interactions, making it powerful tool in fields such as linguistics, sociology, education, anthropology, psychology, and media studies. Expanding further, the social-cultural perspective in discourse analysis positions language not merely as a tool for communications, but also as a social practice that is deeply embedded in and shaped by the historical, cultural, and institutional context in which it occurs. Unlike structuralist or pragmatic perspectives that focus more on form and interactional functions, the social-cultural approach emphasizes how discourse both reflects and constructs societal realities. In this view, language is never natural. It is always involved in producing and reproducing meanings that are tied to culture, identity, and power. This perspective draws heavily from sociolinguistic, anthropological linguistics, and cultural studies, integrating insights from scholars such as Basil Besnens, Delheims, Pierre Bourdieu, and Norman Vaclav. It recognized that how people speak, write, and interpret language is influenced by their social positions such as class, gender, ethnicity, and institutional affiliations. For instance, the way teacher talks to students or how news anchors frames a political issues is shaped by social norms, expectations, and ideological structure that go far beyond the sentence levels. Then, why do we need to study discourse analysis? Analyzing discourse only from the structuralist lens risks ignoring how language reflects and reinforces social power and ideologies. For example, a job advertisement might appear natural structurally, but without socio-cultural or critical analysis, subtle gender biases or discriminatory language could go unnoticed. This can lead to incomplete or misleading interpretations of meaning, potentially reinforcing inequities rather than challenging them. So, a critical component of this course is the Introduction of Discourse Analysis, where the student examines the developments of discourse theories and methods, including perspective from structuralisms, post-structuralisms, pragmatics, and sociolinguistics. And I believe that students will engage key features that many authors and experts such as Vaclav and then Theo van Dijk, James Paul, and many others whose work shape our understanding of how language constructs reality. So, in discourse analysis, particularly genre analysis is introduced as a way of examining how texts are shaped by communicative purposes and institutional context. Drawing on the work of John Swales and others, students learn to identify genres in academic, professional, and media settings, and then recognizing the recurring patterns and conventions that make texts recognizable and functional. In this part of course, trained students also look beyond individual sentences and consider the broader rhetorical organizations of text, such as in the introductions and then methods, conclusions, and whatever in parts of articles. Closely related to genre analysis is the study of appraisal systems, for example, which is part of the systemic functional linguistic framework developed by Halliday and expanded by Martin and White in 2023, and then the second editions will be in 2005. Appraisal theory provides tools to analyze how speakers and writers express attitude, make judgment, engage with their audience. The three main dimensions, such as attitude, engagement, and graduations, are applied to examine how stance and evaluations are embedded in discourse. It means that in particularly useful for media texts, political rhetoric, and reviews, and then where opinions and evaluations play a central roles. Then there are some key theories and ideas arise of these materials, especially in the Introduction to Discourse analysis. As what I told you earlier, that theories such as Fairclough and then Foucault provide fundamentals yet distinct views on the nature and functions of discourse. For example, Fairclough defines discourse as language used in representing social practices, highlighting its role in both reflecting and shaping social norms, ideologies, and power structures. His approach, grounded in critical discourse analysis, or hereafter CDA, views language as social practice that mediates institutional authority and everyday behavior. Through linguistic choices such as nominalization, passive voice, or metaphor, discourse can subtly promote dominant ideologies and legitimate inequality. In contrast, Foucault offers a more radical epistemological stance, describing discourse as a system of representations that govern what can be known, said, and done, rather than seeing discourse merely as a vehicle of communications. Foucault treats is as a mechanisms of knowledge productions and regulations, but according to his theory, discourse determines how may speak, what counts as truth, and how authority is enacted. Meanwhile, Fairclough 2013 argues that discourse both reflects and constructs social realities, influencing how people understand their roles, relationship, and institutional. For example, analyzing political spaces, classroom conversations, and then media narratives can revealing underlying power dynamics, ideological, and cultural assumptions. Furthermore, discourse analysis challenges the idea of objectivity in communications. It posits that language use is imbued with implicit meanings and contextual cues, which are influenced by the speaker's intentions and the listener's interpretations, and then the socio-cultural environment in which discourse occurs. And in so doing, this makes discourse analysis not just a methodological tool, but also a theoretical framework for critically engaging with text and conversation in real-world settings. In so doing, discourse analysis offers a nuanced lens for understanding how language functions beyond mere words, and it empowers researchers to investigate how communication shape social practices, identities, and institutions, making it a vital approach in the study language and society. And we also can take a look at, when we talk about the core perspective of discourse analysis, there are several perspectives. For example, the structuralist perspective views discourse as a system of formal linguistic pattern that can be studied independently of social context. It is rooted in structural linguistics that this approach analyzes how cohesion, grammar, and textual structure contribute to meanings. As Halliday and Hassan there are two types of cohesions. Those are lexical cohesions and grammatical cohesions, and it can be seen that lexical cohesion is to explain how language elements are systematically connected to produce a coherent text. These features allow analysts to map how ideas are logically connected and how text achieve semantic units across sentences and paragraphs. However, the main criticisms of structuralist approach is that it detaches language from its social context. By focusing solely in internal linguistic patterns, it tends to overlook how discourse is shaped by speaker intentions and then audio expectations, cultural norms, and especially power relations. For examples, a structuralist analysis might miss how seemingly natural text subtly conveys gender bias or ideological assumptions through lexical choice or syntactic meaning. Finally, critical perspective extend the socio-cultural views by explicitly linking discourse of ideology, resistance, and social transformations. And this approach argues that discourse is not only shaped by social structure but also plays an active role in reproducing or challenging the structures of the sentences. And then approaches to discourse analysis, as can be seen here, that it is used in conversation analysis, where it talks about the organizations of the conversations, and then ethnographic approach, where the community language in use, and then genre analysis, communicative purpose in text, multimodal and critical discourse analysis, where it combines visuals and ideological meaning, and the last one is systemic functional linguistic, where I taught you before that it deals with how to judge people's characters or giving appreciations to something, especially in appraisals. And then here are the examples of multimodal discourse analysis. So in multimodal discourse analysis, what we have to do or see is that the combinations of image and then color and layout to make meanings of the context. For examples of a brochures, for example, tourism brochures. In a tourism brochures, it can be seen that the combinations of places, colors, and then shapes, and then image and everything blends in one combinations, and it can describe many things in different points of view. And then what about critical discourse analysis samples? For examples, examines how language legitimizes power and bias, and then reveals ideology in media, education, and politics. And this is the examples. For examples, is there is an articles about migrants flood the border, for example, evoke fears and controls. So this example can be seen through the use of appraisal. And then how should we reflect to the discourse analysis? Well, when we talk about this kind of analysis, and the approaches illustrate the richness of complexity of discourse as both linguistics and social phenomenon, they demonstrate that language is not only merely a natural medium of communications, but also a dynamic resource for shaping thoughts, identity, relationships, and power. As communication becomes increasingly multimodal, digitized, and then embedded in complex social structures, and diverse methodological outline remains essential for researchers. And then we also can take a look at how this language can build the society and then social background and everything in the social real life. It can be said that discourse is presents comprehensive overview of various analytical framework used to examine language within its social, cultural, and institutional context. Each approach offers a unique lens of understanding how meaning is constructed, negotiated, and communicated through discourse. Then a multiple perspective reveals different meaning because it will give you different point of view in every people's lives, because each persons or each people will see different cultures, different contexts, whether situation, social or cultures differently. Essential for understanding language, society, and ideology will be based on people's mind and background. That's all my explanations about the introductions of discourse analysis, and see you in the next modules. Thank you very much.